Hello everyone, it's Timothy 2009, and welcome to the next installment of the Sharon Miller Bluebird Thomas reviews. Now, if you remember last time, we took a look at the Misty Island Rescue characters. But now, let's get on to the next Sharon Miller movie, and this is the second to last, thankfully, of the cinematic universe Sharon Miller has produced, along with Nitrogen Studios. And that, of course, is The Day of the Diesels. Oh boy, don't even get me started on this movie. Now, you remember how terrible Misty Island Rescue is? Well, this movie ain't much better. But, what if I told you that this is not the version of the Day of the Diesels I'm going to be talking about? Oh, no. In fact, last year, I saw something that was even better than this movie. And that was a Day of the Diesels rewrite, created by none other than the one and only Nino's Productions. And oh boy, when I tell you that he did a better job than Sharon Miller, like, his version of Day of the Diesels was so good. Like, it actually blew the original out of the water. And thank God I never saw Day of the Diesels as a kid, because this, when I tell you, is one of the best rewrites I've ever seen in anything Thomas Friends related. I think this movie is like up there with like two of my favorite Thomas movies that are fan made. Tobias and the Half Pariah and Tobias and the Arcane Merchant. I mean, you think that like Arcane Merchant is like dark? Well, yes, it is darker than this movie, but still, Nino Productions managed to make a great and dark movie out of Day of the Diesels and used the concept much better than Sharon Miller did. Now I'm here to talk about why that is. And I'm going to be reviewing all these characters from Day of the Diesels. The ones that have appeared in the original. And like, how much better, like, how Nino writes these characters better than Sharon Miller does. And thank God he doesn't use that alliteration and rhyming. And perceive, like, I'm going to talk about that later. But anyways, without any further ado, let's actually talk into why Day of the Diesels rewritten is better than the original by Sharon Miller. Now, I'm going to, try to talk about a few points, but I don't want to make this video too long, but I don't want to make it too short either. I want to try my best to talk about all these characters, why I think the story is better written, and why these characters are better handled. So, what is the plot of this new rewritten version of Day of the Diesels? Well, Sir Topham Hatt is on holiday, and Diesel 10 plots to take over the railway and get rid of all the steam engines. That's right. Not only does he capture some of Thomas's friends, but he goes out of his way to damage most of the important engines like James Gordon and Henry. And Diesel 10, I'll talk about him later, but he's still an amazing villain to this day. And at least he was better written in this version. And with all the engines out of commission, it's up to Thomas the Tank Engine himself to rescue all of his friends and stop Diesel 10's plans. With the help of his new friends, Paxton, Sidney, and Norman. Okay, well, they weren't his friends at first, but I'll talk about that later. And with the help of Bell, the new fire engine, along with Flynn, and Thomas's own army of good Diesels, and Spencer. Even with Mr. Percival, they all work together to defeat Diesel 10 and stop his plans. That right there is what Day of the Diesels should be about. You know the whole Diesel versus Steam conflict? Well, it's actually meant to be like Steamies hating Diesels, and the Diesels doing whatever they can to destroy the Steamies. This is what I actually love about this new version of Day of the Diesels, because Nino Productions actually uses the concept of Steamies versus Diesels to the T, much better than Sharon Miller. I mean, think about it. Yes, I'll admit, the fire was pretty cool, and that's why Bell and Flynn exist, to put out the fires. But there are so many problems that I have with the original Day of the Diesels that I think the new version does it better. And I'm here to talk about why. Alright, so let's see, where should I start? We got so many good things to talk about here. I guess I'll start with let's get the obvious reasons out of the way. I already talked about why I love the Steamy versus Diesel conflict, but Diesel 10 was so good. He serves as an awesome antagonist still to this day. He may not be as intimidating as he once was in Magic River, but my god, he was so spot on. Just his whole plan and his dark attitude. Just him wanting to, like, take over Sodor as his own and get rid of all the steam engines. Even with the help of his other, like, henchmen, like Diesel, Airy, and Bert. Like, Diesel 10... Wait, I'll also say that D261 and Bowler did make an appearance. No, wait, D199 and D261 made an appearance. Sorry if I got tongue twisted there, but point is, they both appeared, they made a few cameos, and they helped Diesel 10 with his plans. That right there was actually a nice touch. Now, some of you could probably complain and say that they don't do anything. They're just there to fill in the background, but personally, I think this story it focuses around Diesel 10. Like, he is the actual bad guy of this movie. And he will do whatever he can to still destroy all the steam engines, even in Magic Railroad. Like, you think that he's intimidating in Magic Railroad? Wait till you see him in the Day of the Diesel's rewritten version. I mean, I'm not going to waste too much time on Diesel 10. Y'all know why I love him so much, and this model is still very nice. And we even... Okay, well, look. This may be still in CGI, but Neo's Productions used trains, like the actual, like, Microsoft Train Simulator, but with the new CGI aspects. Even with that, I still love how this story was written, and... My goodness. Alright. Another thing I really love is, like, how Splatter and Dodge also make an appearance and, like, help Diesel 10 out with their plans. Like, when I first heard about Thomas and the Magic Railroad, and when I saw Splatter and Dodge, like, just refuse to help Diesel 10 chase after Thomas and Lady, I thought maybe they'd have some sort of redemption arc, and maybe not, like, go back to being villains, but I guess I was wrong. But even with that, I still really love how Splatter and Dodge were portrayed. Still being, like, Now, dude, Splatter and Dodge were originally supposed to appear in the original Day of the Diesels, but Sharon Miller said nope, and just replaced them with Paxton, Sidney, and Norman. As well as Dennis. But Dennis also got replaced with Norman, but... Yeah. Not really much to say about Splatter and Dodge. They're just them. Still the same, like, bumbling buffoons for Diesel 10. I mean, come on, what type of villains don't have dumb sidekicks? Or, like, dumb henchmen in general? Alright. Now let's move on to, like, the three newbies of the group. We have Paxton, Sidney, and Norman. These three right here, when I tell you, are some of the best developed. Like, sure, they might not have had any personality in, like, the Sharon Miller era, but Nina's Productions actually gave them a great story arc. Especially Norman over here, but... Let's talk about Paxton and Sidney first. So, I love their redemption, like, midway throughout the, like, movie, where, like, Paxton actually manages to save Thomas from a runaway train, and Belle tries to get Thomas to work with Paxton and Sidney, but he refuses, because of course he does. And then tries to, like, save everyone on his own with the help of his other steam engine friends. But I actually really love how Paxton and Sidney both help Belle to stop Splatter and Dodge from, like, capturing the damaged engines from the steamworks. Like, that right there shows actual teamwork right here. Like, these four as a group really do, like, have a nice dynamic with each other. I mean, y'all know, like, Belle is my favorite fire engine. But I'm not really gonna waste too much time on Belle. I will just say that she looks very nice. Like, even though she's just a recolor of Arthur, and she doesn't have the water cannons. And no, I'm not going to add those. And I'm not going to redo Belle. But I really love how Belle looks paint-wise. And that cute face. Yeah. I mean, I do want to, like, talk about why Belle's my favorite. But all you need to know is that she actually has a brain and is better than Flynn. Because at least she isn't, like, stupid. But anyways, as much as I hate Fiery Flynn in general, I still think, like, in this movie, like, I like how he's introduced, like, early, like, way before the movie is over. Like, when Belle's trying to, like, get everyone to, like, help save, like, the steam engines from Diesel 10, Flynn actually, like, serves, like... Wait, there's a fire, like, caused by Splatter and Dodge. But when that happens, Thomas basically tells Belle and Flynn to, like, put it out. And I like this line where, like, Splatter and Dodge says, I wish I was a fire engine. I actually learned something about fire safety. But yeah, so Belle and Flynn actually do something in the story. Belle mostly, because, like, she's actually, like, is the one who tries to, like, talk Thomas into, like, giving the Diesels a chance, like Paxton and Sidney, and tells him that in the end they can all work together. And Okay, I'll talk more about Thomas's character at the very end, but I really like how he was written. Dennis, oh man, I really love his dynamic with him and Norman. Like, this whole movie starts off with Norman, like, basically being rude to Dennis and just, like, belittling him and, like, being rude to him, like I've already said, but you get my point. And I even love how Dennis had, like, a little sad backstory as, like, why he was so rude to Thomas and his friends. And the person who actually does Dennis and Flynn's voice does an actually nice job. Like, I gotta give props to the actors in this movie who played their part. Like, Belle has a nice voice, and Norman Lee is, like, well written here. Like, at least he has a personality, and, like, he isn't just one-dimensional. I even love how Dennis helps him out at the end where they're trying to, like, defeat Diesel 10. And another thing I really love is, like, when Norman lets Thomas go after getting captured, and, like, Thomas just runs away from Diesel. And just him, like... Okay, so the reason why Paxton, Sidney, and Norman were brought in was to, like, replace Gordon, James, and Henry. Makes sense, because they're all red, blue, and green, but... After that, Paxton and Sidney actually tried to, like, help out Thomas, saving his friends, and just proving that they can be good Diesels. Same with Norman. He tries to tell Thomas that he can be good as well, but Thomas is just denying his help. Until Norman, like, shares his backstory as to why he was so rejected. Like, why he became a villain in the first place. But yeah. And then Den and Dart. Not really much else to add, but they help out with Thomas's plan to defeat Diesel 10. And in terms of, like, actual characters, I mean, they aren't my favorites mostly, but I prefer Den because Dart is kind of annoying in my opinion. And that's all you really need to know about Den and Dart. Alright. Even with all that, I still really love how all these new characters, like, play into the story and how they're written. And they're actually better because, hold on. Excuse me. But all that is trivial to what I actually love in this movie. And that is Thomas himself. Now, I actually really love that instead of Percy, Thomas is the main character. Now, I know what you're probably going to say. Why do I like this over Percy? Don't I still like Percy as a character? Well, yes, but I'm going to be honest. There are a lot of reasons why I hate the original Day of the Diesels. Number one, Diesel 10 is so stupid and cowardly, and he isn't as intimidating as he once was in Magic Railroad. Number two, Percy was incredibly annoying. Him thinking that Thomas doesn't want to be his friend anymore, when we all know that's BS. Thomas is still Percy's friend, even if Thomas is hanging out with other characters like Belle. I don't get why Percy would, like, actually side with the Diesels here. It's basically Percy's fault that they took over the Solar Steamworks and they captured Thomas and set the Diesel Works on fire. You see, this is why I wish Thomas was the main character in Day of the Diesels. Anyways, why do I like Thomas here in this movie? Well, in basically every Thomas and Friends movie, they try to do something unique with Thomas's character. And while, yes, some of the movies are incredibly stupid, like how Thomas doesn't get any credit for, like, saving, like, or, like, discovering, like, Great Waterton, or, like, Sir Topham Hatt basically, like, being angry at him just because, like, he, like, derailed Gordon's coaches and almost, like, got Ryan killed in the dynamite explosion. Like, but I think every movie tries to do something unique with Thomas. In Hero of the Rails, he tries to save Hero's life. In The Great Discovery, he discovers an old town. In The Great Race, he wants to prove that he can be, like, the best in the Great Railway Show and try to change who he is. But then Shima basically, like, teaches him, like, to be himself. In Journey Beyond Sodor, he goes off to the mainland. And in Big World, Big Adventures, he travels the world. Every movie tries to do something unique with Thomas's character. You cannot tell me that there are better characters out there who would have a better character arc than Thomas. I mean, if you wanted to, you probably could have, like, had a subplot in The Great Race where you could have had, like, Gordon trying to prove that he's better than the Flying Scotsman. And while yes, it is nice for Percy to get the spotlight, I just think he was poorly written. And y'all know how much I hate Percy in the CGI series moving forward. Yeah. So you can imagine how happy I was when, like, Thomas became the main character. And the whole reason why I like Thomas in this movie is because his whole arc is, like, learning to, like, trust the Diesels. And, like, again, when he met Paxton, Sydney, and Norman, he thought that they were trying to cause trouble, but Belle basically told him to shut up. And when Paxton tries to, like, help Thomas out, he basically denies his help and tries to, like, save everyone on his own. But when all this fails, he manages to run away. And then when he tells Belle that he failed, Belle basically tells Thomas that she got some help from Paxton and Sydney. And what I like is that how Thomas apologizes to Paxton and Sydney and tells him that he let his blind anger get the better of him and, like, take it out on Paxton and Sydney unwillingly. Yeah. And again, I love how Thomas, like, tries to, like, tell Norman to, like, leave at first, but then Norman basically tells him, like, why he was so rude. And then in the end, Mr. Percival, with the help of every good Diesel like Daisy, Mavis, Salty, Boko, Derek, etc., they all help out Thomas in, like, trying to stop Diesel 10's plan to, like, take over this island of Sodor. And when Sir Topham Hatt comes back from his holiday, he punishes Diesel 10, but Diesel 10 basically tells Sir Topham Hatt that this will not be the end and that one day he will try to take over Sodor again. And the biggest reason why I hate Dave the Diesel is because when Sir Topham Hatt yells at Diesel 10 basically acts like a coward. And just, like, is so scared of Sir Topham Hatt, like he's gonna do something bad. No, this is not how Diesel 10 should be. If this was Diesel 10, like in Magic Road, I'm pretty sure he would have grabbed Sir Topham Hatt by his claw and, like, crushed him right in front of everyone. And then everyone would be very mortified. I mean, yes, it would be dark for a kid's movie, but still. Diesel 10 would not shy away from, like, killing anyone that crosses his path. I mean, yeah. This is basically... The best part about Thomas and the Magic Railroad is Diesel 10. If you cut him out from the movie entirely, Magic Railroad would not exist. But yeah. Alright, so I think that's really all I have to add. In short, I still think the rewritten version of David Diesel's is better than Sharon Miller's crap. Again, no offense to Sharon Miller. She's not a bad person. I just really do not like her writing at all. Period. I mean, I really don't know who would like David Diesel's. It's no better than Misty Island Rescue, but if you like David Diesel's, then please tell me your reasons why. But for me, I just think the rewritten version is better. Like, I really have to give props to Nino's Productions. Well, yes, you could say that it's not perfect. I still really love it. And again, I don't care what anyone else says. I love how Thomas, like, is portrayed in every type of movie he is. Even if he takes all the spotlight. This is his show. It is called Thomas and Friends. If you cut Thomas out from anything entirely, then this whole thing would not exist. We wouldn't have gotten amazing movies like Lost Treasure, or Hero of the Rails, or The Great Race. But yeah. Alright, that's all I really have to add. There is one more movie to the Sharon Miller Cinematic Universe, and I'm sure you can all guess what that is, so stay tuned for that. That's all I have to add, but thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!